about that? I could text her and she might.
Yo, what's happening, everybody? Dan here on Yesshift with
Steven Schinder and Johnny Bruhns.
Yeah. Me. How you doing, Johnny?
Great, Dan. How are you?
Great. Thanks for taking time to join us and update on stuff and talk music and music and your music.
Thanks for the invitation. I appreciate your desire to document.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so for those who may not be familiar, Johnny Bruhns is a guitarist. He has been in a couple Yes tribute bands, including Total Mass Retain, and he's played with multiple Yes members in a few different bands and different occasions, and yeah, so quite the history here. But first off, let's start with something recent. Last October saw the release of the album Tempus Sidereum II, which of course you played on. What's the story with Tempus Sidereum? And I'll go ahead and show the cover image for people.
So I was connected to a couple of members of the band who's playing on the album, Jimmy Keegan and Ryo Okamoto. And I think I probably came up in conversation. Who do you have that's like this? And I fit a kind of, pigeonhole, if you will. So, which is fine. That's where I want it. That's what I love doing. So if I'm going to be pigeonholed, at least it's something that I like. And it just I got a call from Ken Jacobs. And he said, I'd like you to play on these albums, and so I thought, great. And I did most of the Tempus Sidereum I, along with a song that has Alex McCakick, who's been called the Austrian Alan after Alan Holdsworth, who played in UK.
Yeah.
So, and so there's just a real strong pedigree of progressive rock virtuosos, and Jimmy Keegan's, to me, he's everywhere.
I love Jimmy. Yeah.
Right. And Ken's no slouch himself, and he's a great writer. And so with this second album, we had a chance to make it even better, and is this cool. Better? To me it is. So if you listen to the sequence of Tempus Sidereum I and II, you'll see why I like it.
That's cool. I love the cover too.
Yeah, AI. I just for a gag sent my siblings an AI blurb that was generated from your post, and it was, it's kind of a little comical. Maybe just an old fart. I just kind of resist.
I get that. Believe me. Cool.
Yeah, that's and really neat. Yeah, and this album. And yeah, the cover has a really spacey look with the planets and such. This album, it feels there were some moments where it felt very Yes-like to me. And again, part of that could be that just Yes is just so influential on prog that it's inevitable that there will be traces of that. The Coming Light, it probably felt like the most different to me. It felt a little bit more new agey, which is fitting.
Yeah.
But
don't you love the female vocalist in that?
Yeah, sounds really great.
She's the granddaughter of Ernie Ball.
Oh, wow.
Of Ernie Ball?
Yeah, it's really airy. It's got the electric sitars and you get the nice little Indian twang.
Neat.
And so it's fun to play. And then I did some Ebo work on that song too. So it's kind of real spacey, but to me, it's tasty. It's just a lot of different kinds of people. I'm not that much into prog. Love that.
Oh, cool.
So maybe it'll help cross over,
Yeah.
Widen the scope of interest for the project.
Yeah. So what was your entry point to Yes? When did you get interested, and how were you exposed, and what was the interest?
Yeah, let's backtrack a little. So a real short scenario of the tribute scene, and it's really vibrant in Southern California and had been. Yeah. And I had a buddy who also moved from the East Coast. We played in the Philadelphia area together in the 80s, and then in the 90s we did parties, corporate stuff. And then he dragged me into a Neil Diamond tribute where I played keyboards.
Oh, wow.
And even on the Yoso tour, when we landed in Belgium, there's a video of me parodying September Morn.
Really?
Yeah, and on a piano in the lobby. I think Paul Doty took it. He was a tour manager. It was just funny stuff. So tribute bands became this thing, and I got yanked into like 11 or maybe 13 of them, including a one night stands with a Bob Dylan tribute, like the only one at the Coach House in San Juan.
Oh, yeah, San Juan.
And then I did a backyard wedding party. So I was running music programs in churches. And one of them said, "Hey, we get together for my wedding reception." I'm like, "Yeah, I can do that. What do you want?" And so a week before this little backyard celebration, he goes, "By the way, do you guys know any Yes?" Excuse me? What? So Jimmy Keegan was going to be the sit-in drummer because my regular guy couldn't do it. So I go, well, from what I understand, the cat that I've got on drums for this has a high voice. So I'll ask him. Jimmy's all, "Oh yeah, I can sing this, I can sing that, or I could,
Sounds just like him.
He did, yeah, he's more A-brain than me. So we did You Remove All Good People. I capoed an electric Ibanez semi-hollow guitar up 7th fret, and then pedaled the keyboard because I did that too, and flung off the capo, and we ran into it. And after we were done, I was thinking, I'm getting dragged into a lot of tribute shows, but if I had my choice, I'd do a Yes tribute.
Right.
So that's where Roundabout came in. I tried to.
That was my next question. Yeah.
And I tried to find musicians to start my own because they were already established. And I looked at them, and they had a guy with one guitar, and it was a Stratocaster. So draw your conclusions.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, I'll show him. That was my mindset at the time, and I was having trouble getting that done because nobody really wanted to commit. Oh, that's a lot of work. You're not going to get a lot of money from that, and it's a lot of work. I'm like, right. And then I looked back at Roundabout, and they were looking for a guitar player, and I called him down there, and he's, "Yeah, well, we've got a guy. He's a friend of the band. He's learning the parts, but if you think you got it, why don't you come on down?" So that was that. And probably within a year, I started managing the band, and we changed singers and found Jon Davison.
Right.
And I got a voice.
Hey, whatever happened to him?
He quit. All I did for him.
That's funny.
Happy birthday, John.
Yeah.
You're watching out there. Happy birthday, my younger brother, as you always will be. And so he's on my answering machine, with a cassette tape in the deck there next to the phone. "Hi, my name's John. Spell it just like John Anderson, Jon. Anyway, I saw your advertisement in the recycler for a singer for a Yes tribute band, and I was hoping that this was Johnny from Roundabout because I saw them and they were pretty good." And so I'm like, "Honey, come here," to my wife. "Get over. Look, listen to this. Listen, this is the guy. I know that this is the guy." So I went down to his house in Laguna, where him and Taylor Hawkins and Riz Story, that's enough of that, grew up together. So I got to know all of them too. And we became brothers. We'd go back and forth from San Diego and did that for a few years and got farther along than I thought we ever would, especially when that kind of fizzled. And we'd just gotten Matt Brown into the band. Sorry, Matt. We only had one gig with Matt, and that was great. And Taylor Hawkins sat in on that gig, and he played Long Distance Runaround.
Nice.
Professionally, he apologized in advance for screwing it up.
What did he add, like an extra drum solo at the end, or
family
how did that
friendly
go?
version of it. No, it's just about 1, 2, 3, 4, and snap. 3, 4, 5, snapped, and distance. And it's just it can mess with a rock drummer's mind. You really have to pay. So, and he knows that, and you see it on this video that's on my channel about when we did All Good People at the house at the Chris Squire Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah, we saw that.
At the Key Club in Hollywood. And Taylor talked about that, and he says, "I'm a stupid rock drummer. This is, I shouldn't even be playing this stuff." So that's a good thing to watch. So, if you're looking at our YouTubes, and so once Jon Davison got into Roundabout, and we started realizing what we could achieve, and we got some really great gigs, and even played the House of Blues. I mean, Yes played there too.
Yeah, I saw them there.
I guess that's pretty good.
Yeah, I saw that.
And in the midst of all of that, we got to meet and be friends with Chris Squire, and then when it came time to get Benoit into the band, they wanted to see if it was going to work, and they couldn't get through Close to the Edge without the guitar because of the polyrhythms. And so for you music theory geeks out there like ourselves, when a polyrhythm happens, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, ba-dum, ba-dum, and the pattern repeats. Yeah. But conversely against that, you have 6/8 going. So you try to sing along with one of those missing. You got to follow the 6/8 C's and bridges. It has to be in 6/8. So so that was the reason, because I'd gotten to know Paul Cilieri, who was that time the manager of Yes, and so he got in touch with me. And the crazy part of it was that I had been running church music for decades. And I even got ordained. It wasn't an office that I was looking at or trying to get to, but a unanimous elder board convened upon me and said, you should recognize this, because we do. We're not ordaining you. What we're saying is we see that it's already been done. So I said, well, far be it from me. But the day that I would leave pastoral ministry, I would get to play with Yes. And I just look up and go, "You're changing my life. You're changing my path." And he did. And I knew I wasn't going to be joining Yes in the moment. But, then the other things that we could talk about came after. Yeah. But that's in a nutshell, like a zip through.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Great stories.
Yeah. Like, what were those rehearsals like? Like this, like Benoit and Oliver were there as well, right?
No, Oliver wasn't there, and I didn't know that.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that coming in, or I would have brought my keyboards too.
Oh, wow.
And there's some things that you might take to your grave, and so I'm just going to spill a little bit that I haven't ever said before. Thanks for your platform.
Sure, thank you.
It went really, really well, and Chris was musically infatuated, and he wanted me. And it wouldn't have probably been the first time somebody would say, "Let's get this guy in the band," and it didn't happen, or it shouldn't happen. And in my case, I knew that it shouldn't happen. But the things that he said, because I could do Trevor Rabin, he can sing, he can play keyboards, So he was thinking about how I think Benoit was a fun guy to work with, and everything just was. And it was a fun day. We went through so much stuff, and there's not enough time to tell all the stories. But that's one that I'd never, But I said nobody wants to see me. I'm a Yes fan. When I buy a Yes ticket, I want to see Steve. Oh, okay, that's nice.
Yeah.
But it was that exciting. And so it was kind of, you get infatuated, I guess, and yeah. I'm not Steve. Nobody is. Nobody will be.
Right.
But I like to think that I've studied him well enough to, you know.
I get that because I've been playing Yes music since I was 10, 11, since 73. And Alan was one of my biggest influences, and I love playing to every live version of Close to the Edge to Siberian Khatru and You and I, everything from Relayer, Tales from Topographic Oceans. I mean, that's a big part of my personal musical lexicon. And I believe, like you, it's about not just knowing where the notes go and what notes they are. It's about the technique and emulating that artist's language as if you were to learn a new language, the way that language is really spoken phonetically and everything. And it was just such a pleasure to dig that deep and learn Alan's style like that. And it feels good when you play to that music and you feel like you're right there in the, like, again, I'm not Alan White either, but I picked up so many tools into my toolbox from, I think he's one of the most dynamic drummers ever when it comes to dynamics.
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying. That's a great university that we each respectively went to musically.
Oh yeah, of the highest. It's kind of the Harvard or the Berkeley or the Juilliard of progressive rock.
Ivy League indeed. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
You can pick up more on the East Coast. What's with that, man?
Right. So in 2009, a sort of Yes/Toto hybrid band formed, originally with Billy Sherwood, Tony Kaye, Bobby Kimball, and from what we understand, Jay Shellen and Jimmy Hahn were sort of carried over from Circa, but then had their slots filled later. Jay was succeeded by Lou Molino and then a couple other drummers, and then later you were on guitar in 2010. Is that right?
Yeah. So Billy and Tony did some scouting, and they found Scott Connor, real solid, energetic cat, drummer. Cat's a good term, by the way.
Yeah.
Unless it's like Johnny Cat, but you see how that changed? What I did there? And we'd known each other, and we'd done, the casual gigs together, and so there's this circle of drummers who knew each other. I got to take a better gig. Do you want to do this gig? You can do, and they talk to each other and get all their work covered, and he fit in the slot real well. Seems to be it's always easier to replace a drummer. No offense.
No offense taken.
You know the jokes, man. Musicians and drummers.
Yeah.
But you were talking about Alan, and I'll segue because I go left. This is what I do. I know how that feels, man. I know what his feel is. When you vibrate together like that in a room that close, and you get stank faced during that 6/8.
Yeah.
And and Alan's doing that, and I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah. It is so good.
I'm, as you get older, not to exclude Steve, but as you get older, your catalog of memories is just, the stories and the stories. Being traveling mates with Tony, the stories. And, and as we get older, I'm the old dude, and I've got all these stories. I can't tell all of them on a public platform, but I can't believe I've already gone this far. So, next question. But yeah, you wanted to, I guess, Steve, anything more about Yoso?
Yeah, did you enjoy that project? Was it?
I'll tell. Yeah. Was
it fulfilling?
So we get in there. Oh, let me tee it up. Right, we'll get to the beginning of it. So I get the call from Tony. Yeah, we'd like to get together and talk about the band and possibly your place in it, and and all that kind of stuff. So I said, oh, all right, cool. And then, should I bring a guitar? And he goes, guitar? No, I don't think so. I mean, we just want to talk. I mean, you can play. And that stops me in my tracks. And I get off the phone with him and I call my twin brother. I'm going over to Tony Kaye's house to talk about being in his band. Who? I said, Tony Kaye, you know, he's the original keyboard player for Yes. I know who he is. I just wanted to hear you say it twice. So we get over there and we get into talking a lot. And it's a lot about, you know, how do you respond on this kind of a situation on the road and whatnot. And we get toward the end of it and Billy says, okay, so, well, what do you run? And I go, well, I got two SGX 2000 Expresses and a rack going into a mixer, into a Mesa Boogie stereo simulclass 295, into 2 Fender Celestion cabinets with, you know, real-time controllers on the floor. He says, TK, I got a good feeling about this. Because he was using some of that same gear on a tour with Yes himself. So
I like that he was concerned about that. You know what I mean? Like that was on his list to query.
Well, like myself, like-minded, you know, we're sound junkies.
Yeah.
You know, and we know what you're going to sound like if you.
And what it takes to get there.
It's one thing to say, well, I went to school here. Oh, okay, I understand that mentality. But then, you know, in our, it's about the gear. I mean, like when I watch a show, I'm shopping the gear.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
How's he getting that sound? I've had a lot of you know, musicians that come see you and they do us just like they do Yes, because, you know, it draws them more musical. And those who just can understand it enough to enjoy the emotional dynamic range of what Yes music is what the joy of it is. And I think it's spiritual. And I've had these questions and conversations with Chris too, who not really call religious. And I guys, I never felt like I was religious. Stuff happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that I couldn't deny. And I found something that aligned to what I was experiencing. So it's spirituality first.
Indeed.
You know, religion is a product of that. We want to repeat, you know, so it's like, if you think about it, religion is kind of the science of spirituality. It's just like, you know, we're still experimenting here.
Yeah.
So, but I would say to Chris, you know, I think that some of your music has been inspired by God. And I wish Joey was here with me because he does a great Chris, but we all do Chris's, and we do Chris in front of him. He's like, yeah, I get it. I'm a character, you know? So he'd be like, I suppose that's possible. to the idea of, you know, unknowingly in the moment,
right,
inspired to create something that's going to connect people to the infinite.
Yeah, a download.
You know, and a lot of us feel it, and a lot of us, you know, just it's more in the heart and emotional, but some people feel a deep connection in it, and
yeah,
I'm part of that. I've met a lot of people who also are. It's all that it needs to be, and I think that when it's art, and if it changes you emotionally, intellectually, you know, in the way that you are able to interact with people, even that's art, and it will always have that same value in it.
Yeah.
When you get to that point.
Do you have certain Yes pieces that resonate with you in a much deeper level than, like, say, most other music?
Well, I would say, and You and I is transcendent.
Mm-hmm.
I've told my wife, let it be my requiem. If you're with me and I'm transitioning, I'm crossing, then play the song.
Yeah.
And if you're not, when you reach me, play the song. Roundabout and I were recording, and You and I, in San Diego, and we were counting in, and the phone rang. And I learned that my father passed away.
Oh.
And I'd already determined that it was my requiem. But then in a moment, I thought, what about the timing of this? You know, okay, I guess maybe it's his too. And then I get with TMR. They feel the same way about it. So that to me is enough confirmation about what the value of that song is. It's the
Right.
culmination of a lifetime, and when you look forward to it, it is such a song of hope.
It is, yeah.
And of course, soon, right?
Yeah.
Just even without the band, just hearing things like
Yeah, it's beautiful. It is otherworldly in ways,
thank you, Steve Howe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For giving me something beautiful to play. I've really enjoyed doing that.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, how different was playing with Circa compared to Yoso? Because I know there's like some overlap, but what was it kind of easy to ease into that, or
Bobby's from a different school, you know.
right?
He was like the odd man out in the band, but I mean, it's not that he couldn't hold his own, you know. But he wasn't of that school originally. He was just a strong vocalist, and you know, we caught him at a time when he was starting to get toward the end of his career.
Mm.
You know, or otherwise, if he'd had the stamina for it, then we probably would have done the rest of the world as well, and put out another album. But it became evident that it wasn't, you know, going to be the best matchup for him or for us. And so then we just decided to continue with and so on, you know, and then so on was going to be Yoso and so on.
Oh wow.
But when we realized that, you know, we really shouldn't, you know, whip the horse, that you know, Circa and so on was great, and I really loved the what Billy wrote on the album. There were questions. I don't know if you wanted to get into any of those. I don't know if there's any that are down there, but like I said, I was perusing and I caught a few, and one of them was about what were the credits on that album.
Mm.
And I was credited with guitar across the album, but Billy doesn't care about, you know, the optics of him playing this and that and whatever. And he wrote most of the guitar work, but you know, I wrote some solos, and you know, taskmaster that he is and producer, we just pumped that stuff, and he's like, click, click, click. This is good. Play something. You know, oh yeah. He says, okay, so this one's kind of like groove, shred, groove, shred, groove. You got that? Okay. So you break up the 8 measures or whatever it is, and you know, groove, shred.
Yeah.
Here's, you know, the jargon that you use. But we quickly got that album together, and it was a really blast playing it live, and we did something different. We did all digital mixers on stage, so I didn't need an amplifier.
Oh wow.
We're all in cans, and we all mixing each other. So we created the same thing that we had on the album so accurately because of those digital settings.
Interesting.
Just in the mixers, not that all the gear was digital, but all of the mixing was digital.
What units were they, Johnny?
Per instrument. So they all had Yamaha OV1 or O1V. Yeah.
Okay.
So one of the earlier versions, so this is what, you know, 15 years ago,
Yeah.
versions of a digital mixer. And I got myself something different, but it was the same basic thing. I can't even remember right now, so it doesn't matter. And mine, because mine also did 5.1. Speaker in the back there, used to when it was. So yeah, I got a 5.1 studio here, but I was thinking ahead, you know, so I wanted something different, so I got that.
Cool. And we kind of touched on this a little bit, you know, moving on, we get to 2012 and Jon Davison who's now the Yes singer and bass player, at Bass Player Live, you mentioned, Chris getting a Lifetime Achievement Award. Was it Chris that invited you to be part of that and play guitar at the event?
Yeah. Okay. Couple tidbits before that. Keep me on that thought because I could go left, but I want to tee that up.
No worries.
Right.
In Billy's studio in the West Hills.
I know where that was. I grew up about 4 or 5 blocks from there. I grew up on the street on the hill behind where Alan White lived. Alan White lived on Deveron Ridge. I lived on Rock Ridge Terrace behind that.
Oh, Rock Ridge. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Rock Ridge Terrace. I've probably been on that street a few times. And so up in the studio, we take a break, and poking on YouTube and, there's Yes doing that. And you know how Chris is with a guitar and he's on stage and there's this kind of a a back and forth, and darned if it isn't really similar to Billy. But in that moment that I saw that, I said, and guys, this is a spiritual thing again. Sometimes you know what you know when you know it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I saw it and I went, that's going to be your position one day. And I didn't think about it. I just saw it and I blurted it out. And he was like looking at me like, how can you even say that? And I didn't even know how that was going to be. I just saw what I saw and I blurted it out.
Right. You didn't realize the weight of it when you said it, right?
Yeah. And then like a year and a half when they came by we met up and we talked about it. I said, remember that? And I go, and you look at it and he goes, that's still my look. but so similarly, we were watching videos and I think, you know what? I think they're going to make a change. And I called up Jon Davison and I said, John, hey, what's up? Have you been watching, what's going on with Yes and Benoit in Europe? And he says, no, why? I'm like, well, something's wrong. It's not, something's up, and I think that you'll be getting a call. And that was 10 days later.
Oh, wow.
And he got the call. So get me back to your question.
Yeah.
And it was about John. Did I make you lose your question?
Yeah, no. I've got it. Yeah. Well, the question basically came down to when Chris was given that Lifetime Achievement Award and you played with him. Was it Chris that invited you or was it John?
Yeah. No, it was Chris.
Okay.
But he initially wanted Billy to be there because, they had such a great history together.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Play. But Billy says, oh, yeah, man, but Billy's probably thinking that maybe he wants to do the conspiracy stuff, stuff I'm equipped to do.
Yeah. Plus, Billy's kind of a crap guitar player.
A couple of
I'm kidding.
No.
And he says, no, not the conspiracy stuff. Couple of, Fish Out of Water, some of the classic stuff. And Billy says, no, get Johnny. He'll do a great job for you. And he says, well, I wasn't going to argue. So then he called me up and he says, give me Matt Brown's number. So I'm like, Matt.
That's cool. You referenced,
no shit.
You referenced this song, and I think we still have it. It's in there, right, Steve? I'm looking at the index.
Oh, from Bass Player Live?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the one I've labeled Dan's favorite Yes song.
Okay. I don't see it.
I'll go ahead and play it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is what Johnny referred to earlier. We have a little video, and it is indeed my. Just play it, Steve.
I'm on my way.
I love how
Awesome.
Taylor was handling the drums there. It's
Yeah, for
amazing.
those who don't know, that was great.
Yeah,
Fun stuff.
we were talking about instruments and crap, and and you were showing me your quattro.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a pissing match. I had to bring this out. This is a 1961 Vicente Sanchez
Oh wow, 61.
Spanish loud. 61, and I believe if you like cross-reference, if you like do a comparison, I think this is the exact same thing that Steve had.
Really nice.
Yeah, all walnut back.
Oh, nice. It sounds beautiful
Nice.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Awesome. Thanks, Johnny.
yeah. So a few years pass. I think about 2016, you also played with another Yes tribute band called Awaken, the Yes Music Experience, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's one of multiple bands I've used the Awaken name apparently. But what's the story there, and how long did that last?
Hey, we were first, man.
Right.
And best, right?
Yeah. So I talked to Chris. I said, Randy George, and he and Jonathan Sindelman from White, Alan's band up in Seattle.
Right.
We're down here now, and they want me to join up with the Yes tribute. I want to get your feeling on that, because my relationship with you is kind of important, and I don't want to piss you off. Yeah, if you want to do Yes tribute, that's okay with me. Fine, go and play it. But don't you want to do your own music? I'm like, yeah, but I'm so influenced by you guys. It winds up sounding a bit like you, and and you really got the market share on that. Yeah, I get that. So just like you were saying before, some of it kind of sounds like yes. Oh no. It's a great place to be pigeonholed.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, want to mention real quick that Mark Bruhns chimed in a bit ago saying Johnny's brother tuning in from Portland, Oregon. So
Yeah.
Right.
thanks for tuning in.
We have family in Oregon or Portland.
Yeah. My kids are there. 2 or 3 out of 4 of them are.
Cool.
So that's in the future. But yeah, we had a really great time with TMR up in Seattle. They came up, and we met with Gigi and her family, and so it was really great. Yeah, I haven't posted a picture, but you could see her at the end. We were talking close together about Alan, and she was so moved.
Mm.
So it was a really, really special thing. I wouldn't, it was invaluable. You don't think about in the past, oh, we made a lot of money on this. No, it's really
Right.
that human touch that happens.
Yeah.
And it's the music, and Alan was more than a great drummer. He was a great guy.
Absolutely. The picture there is Alan, myself, and Steve's older brother when Steve's older brother was about this big. He's now 5'9", 270. He's grown. And when I came to the house, Alan answered the door in that tank top, Speedos, and a scuba tank. And it was July. I said, Alan, I don't know what it's like in England, but Halloween is in October here. And he laughed. He says, No, I put this on. I'm about to go in my neighbor's pool and fix his drain. There's something wrong with his drain. That's just the kind of guy he was, Yeah.
But my wife doesn't like me showing me bits and pieces.
Yeah, he was truly a wonderful man and a true human being. Absolutely. That was back in Alex was born in 90, so I knew Alan since 89, and just a wonderful guy,
Yeah.
I mean, the whole musicianship is a whole other encyclopedia of stories, but just as the guy, as the man and a friend, he was truly a wonderful guy.
Yeah, I last saw him at the after party at the NAMM show a few years back, right before everything broke out. And I was hanging with Billy and having a great time. And it's loud because, the band and whatnot.
Right.
He's all, go talk to Alan. I'm like, what? Go talk to Alan. Alan's like over there. I'm like, yeah. I turn over and Alan's looking right at me. He goes, so we hung out, reminisced a little bit. Didn't say much, just like wanted presence.
Yeah.
That's the guy, I just like the way it feels close to Alan. You know,
Yeah.
what it's about with any of us, are real friends, people who just hang. But you know,
Let's see.
but him and Steve Boyce too was there. So great guys. So you know, a lot to be thankful for in all the relationships.
Yeah.
You know.
So how'd you get involved with Total Mass Retain? And
So,
that was a couple of years ago at this point, right?
yeah. So Joey, when Yoso came through NYC and played BB King's, right? And you have super fans, and you know Mike, super fan, and
Yeah.
Malcolm Burkett from Manchester, England.
Yeah.
One of the most generous souls that we've ever known. One of the sweetest, you know. And thank God for the Yes music is the reason that we also met. He would pick up tabs, and he was so clandestine about it that you could never pay for anything. Oh yeah, next time, mate. It's not going to happen with him around. So Big Mike, you know, Mike Yes fan, and his son Joe Cass were also in that party of, you know, that fans who are good friends as well, out to dinner and, you know, and partying for what that means, and you know, and so he got to sit in with Yoso and sound check, and so it's like he's pretty good. I think he did kind of ding one of the heads, but you know, he played well through all of it. So you know, it was a fun thing, and then we subsequently would just, you know, hang out when he came out and hang out at the NAMM show. You know, I booked a studio and we just jammed at one point, and so, you know, he put TMR together, and you know, I looked at it and I go, okay, cool. We got a younger guitar player. He's got an Epiphone Les Paul, or like a Stratocaster type of guitar. All right, you know, onward. You know, you got something somewhere to get to, and I figured, yeah, if anybody leaves, it'll probably be him, because I think he wants a different kind of a gig, and I donated a guitar in that period because he needed a modeling guitar so he could do like acoustic or sitar, and
Right.
so I want to see Joey do well, you know, and I was just going to get rid of the guitar anyway, and I think, I'll just give it to Joey. So, you know, he helped me with the shipping and that. So that's a precursor to, you know, a snapshot of a relationship leading up to it. So when Mark said, I'm out,
Right.
you know, Joey calls me up and he says, yeah, so Mark quit. I said, well, I don't know anybody, you know, up to the task in your area. He says, yeah, well, that's why I'm calling you. And I'm like, oh, you know, okay. Just so we're clear, you know, I said, look, I don't need to make a lot of money. I need to not lose some money, you know.
Right.
Okay. So
Fair.
you find the parameters of what a TMR show needs to look like, you know,
Yeah.
visually and fiscally.
Well, we have some of that, by the way, if I may jump in with some of that. Is that okay?
You may.
It's one of my favorites. I'm going to start with this. We've got a few. One of my favorite Yes songs, other than All Good People, it is Ritual. But wait,
Amazing musicianship.
yeah, absolutely love that song. Is so imprinted on my brain, as is this one of my favorites. And you even said the word earlier. It is onward. Just beautiful. I'm supposed to record tonight some Rush songs because next month we're doing a Neil Peart tribute drumming challenge in our membership site. And now I just feel like playing a bunch of Yes. I mean, it's like, okay, I'm going to start with Ritual for sure. And then maybe I'll do this one because mine is definitely, well, maybe it is a disgrace. Smoke coming off the fingers there. Just great. It's just such great music, and you do such a great job, really.
What a hot
Just
dog.
you can tell your whole heart and soul is in it. It's just so
Well, that gratuitous solo was what really inspired me to take up playing Yes music live in the first place.
really. And from which album? From Yes songs?
From
or
Yes songs,
original?
yeah.
Yes songs, but really the song was really the first thing that you hear out of Steve Howe when he joined Yes.
Yeah.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
there's a carryover, you know.
Yeah. It's quite a shift, like right from the beginning, something different's going on. No disrespect to Peter Banks at all. I mean, he was a phenomenal musician and just great on stage. But there was when Steve joined,
Yeah, I'll tribute Steve by saying this. From him, I learned that being good isn't good enough. You have to be great. You have to try to find some of that great moment that people are going to remember, that it's going to, indent upon the feeling, and we remember feelings more than we remember sayings.
Absolutely. And Steve has one of those magical qualities that if it has strings on it, he can pick it up and make music with it.
Right. Yeah.
Even
a big old Rickenbacker bass.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the status of current activities with Total Mass Retain that you can update us on?
So that I've been having some health issues.
Yeah.
And they are concerning. And so, I had to bow out of the last round of shows because I was being beat down by treatment, radiation. And then we went into immunotherapy. And we did that. Now we're 3 months into immunotherapy. And the doctor says, this isn't working. So the next cycle will be full chemotherapy. And that's going to preclude me from being able to do shows for several months at least. So in that time, TMR has taken the bull by the horns, and they've found an understudy. A guy that's real humble.
Is it Steve Howe?
Yeah,
Is it Steve Howe?
we're not going to say who he is right now, by the way.
Okay.
You might know. We'll just leave that for TMR.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. We respect that.
Do not usurp their full announcement of this. But he's a good guy. I've spoken on the phone with him. I'm going to continue speaking on the phone with him. So I think you'll see great things out of him. And I'm glad that he picked it up. I don't want to hurt TMR's chances. Obviously it's not my fault, but I can't be with them for at least several months, like I said.
Yeah. Cool.
So
Well, we're here for you. If there's anything that comes out of this creatively that you want to talk about or promote, or anytime you want to just come on and share stories, Johnny, anything like that, please reach out to us. Don't be shy about that and say, hey, I just remembered this really funny thing that happened. You can always come on and tell stories and just talk music and music with us.
Thanks for yanking me out of my shell a little bit,
Yeah.
You go, hey, can I talk? Oh, we know you can talk.
And we got to give your wife a nod. What does the shirt say? It says, never question my wife's choices. I'm one of them. That's a good one. I have a shirt that says, I don't use Google. My wife knows everything.
Yeah.
If you don't believe me, just ask her.
This is always right. She's the balance. She's my yin and I'm the yang.
That's great.
Yeah, she's everything I'm not.
That's awesome. I get that. Yeah.
I appreciate the fans. I can just shout out to everybody out there that's looking, and I hope you got some answers to your questions.
Indeed.
Your support, your prayers.
Well, we'd love to have you on again. And on the personal side, please keep us posted with everything. And folks, thank you so much for following what we do and your love for Johnny and the music he brings to us. Johnny, hang on the line with us after we disconnect.
Yeah. I was just going to say, and I think as we close out, I'll play a little bit of Yoso's take on Hold On. And then, Dad, you can end the stream whenever you see fit.
Okay, well, look listen for big Mike Yes fan in the end of it shouting my name.
Cool. And before you play that, Steve, quick shout out to Gina Dunleavy Posanarina, says, love you, Johnny. Jeff Matthias is Malcolm Brickett. I have the wrong glasses on. Malcolm Brickett was an awesome guy. I used to chat with him about Circa, Billy Soul albums, and more. Valdi says, morning all from Indonesia. And we appreciate everybody following. You can write us if you have questions, suggestions, hate mail. Definitely direct that to Steve. That's it. That's it. Yesshift podcast at gmail.com. Follow us audio only if you prefer at anchor.fm. Look up Yesshift. We're everywhere on podcast channels. You can find us on YouTube and Facebook. And here's Steve with the music. Go for it.
Sunshine,